thank you, first of all, Shield team, for, inviting me. I will be giving a little bit of introduction for myself, and then I will be deep diving into a session on cyber psychology. This is going to be a very, very basic session where everyone can understand why we are here to understand cyber psychology, what we are trying to convey from this, and to understand the entire digital mindset of each human, like irrespective of age and background. We want to analyze how cyber psychology can affect different ages, different people from different ages, and other aspects. So that being said, I am Trisha Srivastava, chairperson of Women Data Protection Foundation. And before we dive into cyber psychology, I will like to give you a little bit of introduction about Women Data Protection Foundation. So this is an NGO which has been working towards protecting women's data, and there have been different initiatives that we have been taking up to protect women's data as well as kids' data. And we are also taking initiatives, to push forward women in this field in terms of career. And that being said, other than career, we are also trying to, touch society and, make changes and make cultural changes in terms of data privacy and cyber awareness. So the most rural areas who are, we instill a mindset in everyone day-to-day life, while internet is playing such crucial, role in every effort. So we would like everyone to be aware of what they are, dealing with online, how their code of conduct should be. With AI picking up such a pace, we are very, uh, it might come a phase where things might go out of control, but the only thing that we can control is ourselves, our code of conduct. And that's where, cyber psychology plays a very vital role to understand how to deal with certain aspects and how we can not get driven away by what today's internet has to, offer, and how these, um, not to be said, but manipulations can lead to. So yeah, that this is the entire session. That's how it is going to be, to understand the digital mindset. So to begin with, I would like to, give a little background of how. So this, I'm not a very master onto the psychology domain, but the mere initiative of women data protection has been so that we build a culture, we consciously or subconsciously, instill in minds of kids, women, and in society in general, that how our code of conduct should be online. Now, looking at the footprint we are having nowadays, and like it says, the mind is the starting point of every cyber interaction. So we be very mindful of how we are driving, our presence online, and protecting ourselves. It starts from us, that we take uh, informed decisions, we take steps which are necessary, not just for ourselves, but for our families, for our society, to drive a healthy presence online. So when I talk about cyber psychology, it brings me back to philosophy. Now, when I say that, it means like philosophy deals with ethics and reasoning, and it's basically the background that we have been associated with. For a Indian person, there's certain societal backgrounds and norms that we deal here. In Europe, there are different psychology, different philosophical norms, and ideologies that we deal with. So a person born and brought up in certain region builds how your ethics and reasoning is, and that shapes up your psychology, how you look at certain things, and how your reasoning is, how your behavior is towards particular situation. And why, there's been so much, I have been interested into this subject, because looking at the AI, the force with which it is just, covering each aspect of us online, is that there's a lot of, issues with AI hallucinations and AI, driving things, and maybe leading to wrong outcomes. And that's where we, as the feeders, the operators of our own systems, we should be very mindful of how we are driving things. And cyber psychology, in a way helps you tweak some practices, you apply some practices where you are very mindful of how you conduct yourself. So, and that being said, it also, is understanding the human mind's interaction with the digital environment. That's what we have been discussing on. And then there is, a lot of dilemmas, what is true, what is not true, how to decide the source of information, whether it is reliable, unreliable. A lot of that has been. And when these kind of scenario comes up, it is very important that in our future generations, we build them and instill them with a lifestyle. Why? Because they are all going online, and they are accessing everything which is available online. So we instill in them a kind of a culture, a kind of habit, that they look at certain things, certain source of reliability while they are online, and how they conduct themselves online, what to approach, what not to approach. And that for now we should do it forcefully, but in some years, when we keep doing that, it comes into habit, and habit builds a healthier way how we drive ourselves online. And that's the agenda of this whole conference is cyber safety. And yeah, looking at that, this is let's move ahead and understand two kind of online people that we look at nowadays. So there are perpetrators, there are victims, and also not victims, but also the general people that who are accessing. We are also going to talk about their mindset and how current internet is, what it is bringing to the table, and how captivating it is in current times. Now, when we look at the total, people who are using internet, there are about 5.56 billion people around the world, and which is equivalent to 67.9% of world's total population. We are online, and which is a very, very, very good number, very big number. And then people out of this who have faced cybercrime is about 50 to 60%. And now when we look at the rough ratio, and there's 3 billion, 54% of internet users are victim, and 0.9 of it is perpetrators. Now, when we look at why, the reason why we look at both these aspects is because when we are trying to address our future generations, there may be some force, some driving force, that you might get into a domain where you might you know commit some offenses online. And we want to build a healthy environment for you to understand why, how to change that mindset, how to not get into that mindset, and think in a way which builds a cyber criminal. So here we decode what is the mindset of the cyber criminal, and how they basically approach to certain situations when they try to do something negative online. So that's what, again, boils down to psychology, and how they have philosophically been around, surrounded by, the ideologies and other things that drives the force that drives them to take certain actions which are not ethical. There is motivation, there is final gain, power, revenge, ideology drive that cyber criminals have, that, reflects of what their tasks are online. Then again, coming onto the societal background and surrounding, there are traits, that narcissism, the lack of empathy, and thrill seeking tendencies. Somebody wants to take risks and to understand what could happen when we do something at that sort. But I think there is a missing, awareness that what is the impact of their, what is the impact, and what is that one trait that is, making them do this kind of things. They are not well aware of impact. They should be made more aware of empathy, and they, not take such decisions. Then people also want to, make use of methods like exploiting human vulnerabilities and fear and trust, and they want to take advantage of it and go about it. Now we want to lower this 60s to 1 even more. It is less, but we want to make it lesser for people to be freely, navigating. And that's how we, help our future generation understand that why it is important to have a trust circle, why it is important to have certain code of conduct online. So yeah, that's about the decoding cyber criminals. Now coming on to psychological trap and exploitations. Now, like we spoke about perpetrators and victims. In terms of victims, we also mean the general users who are navigating, internet on day-to-day basis for their financial needs, for their entertainment needs, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of psychology, how internet currently is driving all the in terms of social media, availability, and how the different attacks like social engineering, takes advantage of certain situations, like we spoke on the last slide, how it takes of certain methods of vulnerability, how they, modify and, extract certain data and use it in a wrong format. So that's what we are looking at the, digital surface everybody's on, like we just looked at the number. It's huge, and everybody is mostly people are interacting on social media sites. Now there we are putting up our content, we are putting our pictures, we are putting, timelines where we are traveling, where we are, some very private data that we are putting online. And uh, uh, in terms of all extravaganza that we are, placing online, there are certain situations where it is also driven by FOMO, fear of missing out. How, today's internet algorithm and psychology is working, and the entire platform is running to make you feel that you should be posting, your friend has posted, so there's a need for, to showcase where have you been, what have been you doing, and all of that. And that increases your interaction with the online applications, social media platforms, and so forth. Again, now there is a dopamine hit that we have been seeing in terms of, using these platforms. There are likes, there are, hearts that we see, there are thumbs up that we see, there's, recognition, that instant gratification that we see due to this methods, these algorithms, these designing that we have seen. And it all, brings us to get glued to our screen even more, and, access these platforms. And really there has to be a reality check, that are we using these technologies, or is this technology using us, with the kind of manipulation, with the kind of customization we have been seeing. And there's no blurring of lines how, customization have been nowadays, and what we are getting online. So these are the traps that we have been observing. And there is also exploitation of trust, urgency, fear, and curiosity. So at a point, curiosity was, was the key to drive things into positive direction. And now there has been, a amount of, exploitation, that it has turned into something concern. Now there is trust, like there is urgency, and there is fear that, nowadays it's getting exploited with all that is coming with the internet platforms. So again, now like we can see cognitive ease. Now the platforms are, built in such a way that they gives us such easy, access. You just right swipe, and maybe you found your right relationship, your right partner. That cognitive ease, and other ways, but, technological ease has given us more exposure towards these platforms. And these are the ways how, we have to be mindful, and why, highlighting these will, take you back to, and, it will instill or activate your nerve to think your presence online in a certain way, and how you can drive it. There are echo chambers. Now, when we look at today's AI customizations, and how things are, you speak of something, and maybe your phone shows up an ad about it, and how we are worried about how our phones are looking at, our data, how we are being heard. So these echo chambers are there where, you, your friends, your family look at certain data, and that limits us from diverse perspectives. So on a regional basis, there's some manipulated data that you see, and then you have a limited mindset to look at certain things in such a way. So the like it says, limiting diverse perspectives, and that is, one way to drive certain things in certain manner. Okay. Sorry, Dinner, I can see you saying I want to see that slide, so I'm not sure which one, but you can let me know and I can go back to that. um Now we speak of behavioral micro-targeting, we have been analyzing likes, shares, and comments to categorize users into psychological profiles. We all know how the backend algorithms are working and how, what are our likes. We get something popped up related to the same product, we get same niche to explore, and in a certain format, like how the algorithms are losing transparency for now. But yeah, we are, the laws that we are getting towards AI, towards data privacy, to instill more transparency in the algorithms, maybe have a better future. But uh, this is a lot of an area of concern for us to look at how things are moving on social media and internet as whole. So yeah, like we spoke about, psychology of AI, how AI's influence has been, and recently it has been crazy with all the Gen AI and AIG, artificial general intelligence, that's all coming up from all across the world, and different, GPTs. We are seeing how, we are now so much digitally dependent. We look for, you know, we look for consultations online, we look for personal, recommendations. So we have seen kids, being online and chatting to chatbots, and there have been cases where we have seen very mishappenings because of, the hallucinations that AI, creates. And the personalization and prediction shapes decisions, and that's how AI is, how AI looks at your personal data and trains itself, and then gives you things very personalized. And sometimes we have also seen cases where we look at some details, but they are not full proven, and we might end up into getting some information which does not holds the complete truth. There may be incomplete data, and all that, will affect our our missions, our actions, and those kind of level of concerns we are facing. And like I spoke about the algorithms, how, exploit psychology for engagement. So they're playing, these algorithms are playing with our brains, and we are not very sure, at a moment, maybe we see something so fancy on our screen that we just click away to get into trap of things, and then losing our time, losing our energy, losing our, resources, our own health. It comes down to also physical health with the amount of mobile phones we have been using. So all this, the entire design, and why we are so concerned about AI hallucination psychology and all of that, is because we want our future generations to be very mindful. We want to highlight this more. WDP wants to work in a direction where we, instill that thought, instill that culture, why data privacy is so much needed, why you should be mindful of your conduct. And that brings me, a little bit of cyber awareness in kids, and why, I brought this into psychology, because like I spoke, we want, as a WDP body, we want to make our cyber kids be very mindful of how they are driving their online presence, and in a way that they unconsciously also we build a culture that they are very mindful of whom they are interacting with and how they are interacting with, how they are interacting. And they should be okay being online and double checking things. We have to instill in them that they cannot just believe what they see right away. There has to be a double check. There has to be a doubt when things are online. It's okay to doubt and to take confirmation, to take look at multiple sources and, believe on things after their research. Thank you. And so, WDP has also been building projects, where we develop bedtime stories for kids in a way, very interactive way, where a boy goes and speaks to a parrot who can, remember things and go and maybe say it out loud to someone else. So you should be very mindful of whom you interact with and whom you tell your personal data. If you meet someone on road, it comes to general physical safety as well, how things are materializing from cyber to physical. We have all been seeing, we have been well known about those consequences. And that's the, target we are trying to achieve, that we bring cyber awareness into bedtime stories and integrate privacy habits early on to our toddlers, to our kindergarteners. And, as we move on to this platform so rigorously, we know that we have made our kids aware, and we have prepared them for how they drive themselves and how their conduct should be. So methods we can use like gamified learning, that one instance I just spoke of, bedtime stories and interactive way of stories and learning. Then again, it also comes down to empathy, and we should be very mindful of how we are interacting with our kids. There has to be a trust circle. They should know, how to develop a trust circle. It all comes from, within the family. Also, how we have parents here, we have different, viewers listening, your uncle, your aunt, and you are listening, and you have, kids in your family, where you should be very open when they want to share something and they want to express their doubt about something. We should be all ears to understand what their concerns are, and we should give them a better, understanding how they can drive things. Now, parents protecting children, there has to be education, communication, tools, and trust. Now, first I would like to speak is trust. As I left on the slide about the empathy, there has to be a way of communication which builds trust. There has to be a quotient, there has to be a trust quotient that we develop with our children, whether it's teacher student relationship, whether it is, parents or uncle aunt. There has to be a key understanding in kids that we need to instill, to understand what their trust circle could be, and how, they should protect their data privacy, how they should not tell anybody on road what their physical address is, or, they might not get driven online when someone's saying, maybe is your mom not talking to you? I am okay talking to you. How they should react to certain things. They should double check who the person they are interacting with and all of that. So it starts from home. Education starts from home. We truly believe that. And that's how we build a society. And that's how, different platforms, and this platform especially, wants, to make safer, space for kids. And each one has to take efforts. That's what we see. Educate parents about online threats, encourage open communication, use parental controls, build a trust-based approach. Again, coming on to a different generation, which is the current generation, which we want them to, how we want them to, look at data privacy. And I would like to call them Gen Z rather than Gen Z. Why? Because, we have been seeing how mindful this generation is to look at certain things, to question things, and no question is bad. How they are looking at how they can drive certain things. They are questioning, even if you talk about a general scenario where we talk about work-life balance, they are very aware of how, this is life and work is a part of it. So they are questioning things which have been coming for so long, for so years. So this generation is a change maker, and we also want to instill in them that how they can be responsible of their, their operations, their code of conduct, how they can be, ethically driving things, to understand what is the source of things, and to see also on the sustainability side. When we talk about in terms of when we talk about digital sustainability, we talk about the data minimization. One of the principles of data privacy, to minimize their data as more as possible. There have been drives we have been driving to delete your personal data which you think is not very relevant. Maybe some obsolete photographs, maybe some obsolete files that you see is no longer needed. Just do regular cleanup of your data to also help the environment, and also to lower your data surface and protect yourself in return from the threats that lower the data surface of threat. So yeah, that being said, we also want to guide them, this generation, how they should be driving their data privacy, and how they should be mindful, not just on the societal way, but also on their career wise, how they should develop and participate into this domain, such growing and such evolving. We want students from college to participate and learn about data privacy, and that has been also one of the few initiatives WDB has been doing. That brings me to a short quiz. And, this is going to be a self-evaluating quiz where you can just note down your own answers of these questions. I can out loud them to you. And then we will, see how we can interpret your control, whether you in control, or is internet manipulation, controlling you, and how is that driving. So just a quick self-evaluation. We start with first question. How often do you watch a suggested video instead of searching for one? And like we have been speaking of, AI, how suggestions are there, customizations are there. Thank you. Okay. Rarely, I prefer to search for what I want. Right. That's pretty interesting. We have you ever bought something online because an ad followed you? Yes, once or twice, but I wasn't sure. So a coincidence, or no, I don't let ad influence my purchases. Third question is, do you feel anxious when you don't check your phone for notifications? I know we have been getting into habits of checking our phones very rigorously. Even when we are having our family interactions, we are checking on our phones very often, which is not a great habit. We want us all to be mindful. Thank you for these questions. We have two more on this, and let's see what you have here. Have you ever felt your opinions were reinforced by social media rather than challenged? Yes, I mostly see content that aligns with my views sometimes, but I try to seek different perspectives. No, you can evaluate, you can just keep your answers and see how you're, you know, responding to these. What has been your approach to these? If an app told you to take a break, would you? Probably not. I'll keep scrolling a little bit longer, maybe, and see. Yes, I would rather take the reminder seriously.
Trisha, sorry to jump in. Super fascinating. I love this quiz at the end, and it certainly everyone's getting involved in that and answering the questions. I'm just conscious of time. That's all it is. If we've got something else
Right,
about to happen as
right.
well.
Just
But
right.
super interesting.
Just wrapping up, to give an interpretation. If you've been mostly A's, then, AI is in control. Your digital behavior are heavily influenced by AI-driven personalization. Awareness is key to regaining control. If it's mostly B's, you're a balanced user. You are aware of AI influence, but still get drawn in at times. Stay mindful of your screen time and content exposure. If it's mostly C's, you are in charge. You actively make conscious choices, and in digital world, keep questioning and critically evaluate your role. That brings me, some key takeaways that we should have kids, be reading longer books rather than just being driven by dopamine instant results. Give them a habit of, reading long books, nighttime reads, and all that. We can instill parents to be bolder in with respect to their conduct with kids. And there are sometimes, invaders who are looking at parents, how they are keeping themselves, and then targeting the kids. So we parents, we should be mindful of that. There could be bedtime cyber awareness stories that we can, look at and read out to our kids. And obviously, as I spoke about, doubting and double checking is okay in today's world where we are facing deep fakes and other situations. So that has been my time. Thank you, and it was a great, platform that you all have provided. And yeah, that's been my time.
No, well, thank you very much. Super insightful, as I say, thoroughly enjoyable. Some really good points and topics. Trisha, thank you once again. Super interesting. And hopefully people will reach out to you and keep up all the brilliant work. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andy.